Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty fundamental, I think, that age-old question. Why can relationships be so tricky sometimes?
They really can. And we're looking at a source today, a book actually, that offered some really maybe surprising answers back when it came out. It changed how a lot of people saw things.
It really did. So, okay, let's unpack this. The main idea we're exploring is that maybe, just maybe, understanding some inherent gender differences can actually improve things, like fostering tolerance, reigniting passion even.
Right. The book puts it like this. Gender insight helps us to be more tolerant and forgiving when someone doesn't respond the way we think he or she should.
Exactly. And the mission really isn't about trying to change your partner, which, let's be honest, rarely works anyway. It's about shifting your own approach. For communication, how you react, how you respond. That's where the power lies, according to this view.
And the impact.
Okay.
Well, there's this anecdote the source mentions that's pretty striking.
Oh, yeah, the remarriage one?
That's the one. Couples who'd actually divorced, read the book, applied the ideas, and then, well, they got back together, happily remarried. It's
incredible, isn't it? It suggests this isn't just, abstract theory. It helped people reconnect even after a breakup or divorce, start over, real world change.
Yeah, real transformation.
So let's jump into the core principle then, this idea that men and women are supposed to be different.
Right. And that trying to make them the same, expecting your partner to be more like you, that's actually where things go wrong.
The book says it pretty bluntly.
Yeah.
When we expect our partners to be more like us, we are automatically giving them the message that they are not good enough the way they are. Ouch!
It's a tough pill to swallow, maybe, but central to the argument. And interestingly, the source attributes these differences less to just, personality or how we were raised.
They're more to biology.
Yeah, it points towards brain and hormonal differences as primary causes. Now, it doesn't get super technical on the science, but focuses on how these differences really show up under stress.
Or in relationships, or when you have kids. Those pressure points.
Exactly. Those moments where the default settings really kick in.
And that leads right into those classic complaints, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Men often complain, she is overreacting.
And women complain, he doesn't listen. We've all heard versions of that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And the book's angle is, these aren't character flaws, necessarily. They're natural tendencies, just misunderstood.
Okay, so let's decode a couple of the big ones. Mr. Fix-It versus the Home Improvement Committee. Sounds about right. For women, the number one complaint, men don't listen. You're pouring your heart out, maybe about a tough day.
And he's jumping in with solutions. You should do this. Why don't you try that?
When all you really wanted was someone to just hear you. Empathy, right?
Exactly. And for men, the flip side, women are always trying to change them.
Ah, the Home Improvement Committee.
Yeah. She thinks she's being helpful, nurturing, suggesting ways he could improve things.
But he hears it as criticism, as if he's not good enough. It feels controlling.
Right. So let's look at the why. Starting with the male perspective, the Martian, as the book calls it.
Okay.
A man's sense of self is defined through his ability to achieve results. That's crucial. And autonomy is a symbol of efficiency, power, and competence.
So competence is really core to his identity.
Very much so. Which means, and this is fascinating, to offer a man unsolicited advice is to presume that he doesn't know what to do or that he can't do it on his own.
Which feels like a direct hit to his competence. An insult, basically.
A deep insult. That's why men typically don't just chat about problems unless they're actually seeking expert advice. And offering solutions is their way of showing care. They're trying to fix the problem for you.
Like the story of Tom and Mary getting lost.
Perfect example. They're lost. Mary suggests calling for help. She means well, just wants to get there.
Tom hears.
He hears, I don't trust you. You're incompetent. And boom, the whole evening has this underlying tension.
Wow. Okay, so now the Venusian side, the female perspective on communication.
Right. For women, the book argues, communication is of primary importance. It's about connection. To share their personal feelings is much more important than achieving goals and success.
So talking about problems isn't necessarily about finding the answer right then and there.
Often, no. It's about processing, connecting, feeling understood. Think about Mary after her exhausting day. She just wanted to vent, feel close to Tom.
But Tom went into Mr. Fix-It mode. Quit your job, don't worry.
Exactly. His problem-solving tactics didn't work. They actually made her feel more alone, more frustrated, because he wasn't meeting her real need in that moment, which was just to be heard.
So what does work according to the source?
Well, when Tom eventually learns to just listen, to offer empathy, simple sounds even. Sounds like you had a hard day, or, oh no.
Really, that's it.
Apparently that made all the difference for Mary. She felt tremendous relief and fulfillment. And then she says, I love talking with you. Thanks for listening. I feel much better.
It changes everything. The source says, when our partner resists us, it is probably because we have made a mistake in our timing or approach. That makes sense.
It really does. And it makes you think, doesn't it, for you listening?
Yeah.
Where might your own Mr. Fix-It or home improvement tendencies be showing up and maybe causing friction?
That's a good question to ponder. Okay, moving on. Stress responses. Another big area of difference.
Huge. The book says, men become increasingly focused and withdrawn, while women become increasingly overwhelmed and emotionally involved. Polar opposites almost.
So let's start with the men. The cave.
Right. When stressed, Martians go to their caves to solve problems alone. They pull back, become distant, forgetful, unresponsive, and preoccupied.
Focused inward.
Exactly. And if they can't immediately solve the problem, they might disengage, read the news, watch TV, exercise, things that help them detach, forget the problem for a bit, and kind of reset, become unstuck.
But that withdrawal can be really hard on their partner, can it?
Oh, absolutely. A woman might see him watching TV and think he doesn't care. You have no feelings. You're ignoring me.
Because she expects connection, especially during stress.
Precisely. And the advice from the source is pretty stark here. Never go into a man's cave or you will be burned by the dragon.
Don't push him to talk when he's withdrawn.
Yeah, asking, is there something wrong? When he's deep in that cave can apparently make him snap, say things he regrets. The advice is, don't disapprove of his need for space. Don't try to solve his problem for him. Don't worry about him.
Do something for yourself.
Exactly. Do something that makes you happy. And for the man. Just a little reassurance can go a long way. A simple, I need some space, but I will be back.
Okay, so the cave for men. What about women? The wave.
Yes, the wave. A woman's self-esteem rises and falls like a wave. When she hits bottom, it is a time for emotional house cleaning.
So it's cyclical.
It's presented that way, yes. And when she's in that low point, feeling stressed or overwhelmed, she needs to talk. Not necessarily for solutions again.
But for relief, understanding.
Exactly. A woman under stress is not immediately concerned with finding solutions, but rather seeks relief by expressing herself and being understood.
Like Bill and Mary again. Bill trying to fix Mary when she was down just made her feel worse, more misunderstood.
Right. The idea is when a woman is in her well, as the book calls it, it's not a problem to be solved. It's an opportunity to support her with unconditional love.
And here's the surprising bit you mentioned. Sometimes if he is supporting her well, she might actually get more upset for a moment.
Yeah, isn't that counterintuitive?
Yeah.
But the source says it's a sign she's really reaching the bottom of that emotional well, processing things fully, and she'll likely start to feel better soon after. It's part of the cycle.
So what happens when the cave and the wave crash into each other?
Chaos, often. The example given is Harris and Kathy. Harris pulls away into his cave.
Just as Kathy's wave is crashing.
Exactly. His withdrawal triggers her past feelings of neglect, making her wave even bigger and more intense.
That sounds tough.
It is. The summary is, men argue for the right to be free, while women argue for the right to be upset. Men want space, while women want understanding.
Understanding these different needs, these cycles, it really does seem like it could foster more compassion.
It has to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if he needs space and she needs to talk, maybe he can say something like, look, I get that you're upset and I really need to just zone out for a bit right now. Can we talk when I feel a bit better?
And maybe she can find other ways to get support, too.
Yes, the book emphasizes that. It puts too much pressure on a man to make him the only source of love and support. Having friends, support groups, other outlets is really healthy.
Right. Okay, let's talk about needs. Emotional needs and scorekeeping. That sounds ominous.
Well, it's about how we measure love and effort. The core issue highlighted is that we tend to give what we want to receive.
Men typically give in relationships what men want, while women give what women want, assuming the other person values the same things.
Which they often don't, according to this. The source lists 12 kinds of love. 6 primary needs for men, 6 for women.
Okay, what are they?
For men, primarily. Trust, acceptance, appreciation, admiration, approval, and encouragement.
Acceptance, approval.
Yeah.
Sounds linked to that competence thing again.
Very much so. And for women, caring, understanding, respect, devotion, validation, and reassurance.
Validation, understanding, relates back to needing to be heard.
Exactly, there's a pattern. And the book uses this knight in shining armor analogy for men.
Oh, yes, the knight.
He wants to be the hero, right?
Yeah.
Serve and protect his princess. He feels trusted when she lets him wield his sword, his abilities, his competence.
But if she offers nooses like control or poison, that unsolicited advice...
It undermines him completely. Questions his competence, he feels ashamed, unworthy, gets depressed, and metaphorically stops being her knight. He retreats.
That's powerful, and this links to scorekeeping, how we value gestures.
Right. The idea is when a woman keeps score, no matter how big or small a gift of love is, it scores 1 point. Each gift has equal value.
So bringing home flowers gets 1 point, and paying the mortgage on time also gets 1 point.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a consistency and thoughtfulness that registers most. But men often think differently.
They think big gestures score big points.
Yes. Like Chuck, the doctor who doubled his income, he thought, wow, I'm scoring like 60 points a month here.
But his wife, Pam...
For her, it was still just 1 point him providing. And worse, she felt resentful because he was working more, leaving her with more responsibilities at home. His big gesture actually backfired in terms of her feeling loved and supported day to day.
So the takeaway is, men need to do the little things consistently.
Lots of little things often mean more to women than one grand gesture, and women need to show appreciation for those things, which feeds into men's need for, well, appreciation and approval.
And this misunderstanding about points can lead to arguments.
Definitely. The book notes, men are most prone to argue when they have made a mistake or upset the woman they love. It's often a defense mechanism.
And arguments blow up when a man begins to invalidate a woman's feelings and she responds to him disapprovingly.
It's a vicious cycle. He invalidates, don't worry, it's not a big deal, explaining her feelings away.
Thinking he's helping.
And she disapproves, maybe with a tone or a rhetorical question like, how could you even think that? Which hits his need for approval.
Because just like women need validation.
Men need approval. It comes down to, as the source says, it is not what we say that hurts, but how we say it. Tone and intent are huge.
So how do we communicate better when feelings are difficult? The book suggests the love letter technique.
Yeah, it's presented as a really practical tool. It's structured. You write out feelings of anger, sadness, fear, regret, and then love.
Following those steps helps process the emotion.
That's the idea. Even if you don't show the letter to your partner, the act of writing it, or even just thinking through those stages, can help release the negative charge so you can communicate more constructively later.
That makes sense. And this connects to the 90-10 principle.
It does. This principle suggests that when we get really upset about something in the present, maybe disproportionately upset.
Like a 10 out of 10 reaction to a level 2 problem.
Exactly. The idea is that about 90% of the upset is related to our past, not the current situation. Old wounds, past experiences getting triggered and projected onto our partner.
That's something to reflect on. Have you ever had that kind of over-the-top reaction and only later realized it was tapping into something much older?
I think most of us have, if we're honest. It also explains that delayed reaction response.
What's that?
It's when maybe you felt unheard or unsupported for a long time, and then your partner finally starts giving you what you needed. And suddenly all this old resentment comes pouring out.
Right, when they start doing the right thing. That seems unfair.
It does. But the theory is that you finally feel safe enough for the old hurt to surface. It's not really about now, it's about then.
Okay, relationships definitely aren't static. The book talks about seasons of love.
Yeah, like a cycle. Spring is that falling in love phase. Everything's wonderful, easy, magical.
Summer is reality sets in.
Pretty much. The hard work begins. Disappointments, frustrations. This is where, sadly, the source says many couples give up.
If you get through summer, you reach autumn.
Autumn is the harvest. Mature love, appreciation, reaping the rewards of the work you put in during summer.
And winter.
Winter's a time of rest, sometimes withdrawal, dealing with unresolved stuff, healing. This is the time when men hibernate in their caves and women sink to the bottom of their wells.
So love isn't always sunshine and roses. It has seasons.
Exactly. Expecting it to be spring all the time leads to disappointment. And it's easy to forget all this stuff when you hit a tough patch, a relationship winter.
Which brings us back to the importance of support.
Yes, especially outside support. Friends, family, maybe support groups. It frees us from looking to each other as the sole source of support, which, as we said, reduces pressure.
Okay, so for getting support from our partner, the book offers a 3-step process for asking effectively.
Very practical, yeah. Step 1, ask for what he already gives sometimes.
Yeah.
Start positive.
And be direct. Brief. Use would you or will you. Why not could you?
Ah, interesting point. The source says to a man, could you?
Hmm.
Often sounds like a question about his ability. Yes, I could technically do that. Not necessarily a request for action. Would you or will you is clear. And avoid a demanding tone because that just signals you're not enough.
Okay. Step 2, practice asking for more, even if you think he might say no.
Right. And this is key. Graciously accept a no if it comes. Don't push or guilt trip.
Why? That seems counterproductive if you need help.
Because it builds safety. If he knows his no will be respected, he's actually more likely to feel willing and able to say yes next time. He doesn't feel trapped or constantly obligated.
That makes sense. Builds trust. Okay, step 3. Assertive asking with a pregnant pause. What's that?
This one's fascinating. You make your request clearly, and then you stop talking. Remain silent.
Even if he grumbles?
Especially if he grumbles. The advice is let him grumble and say things. Just listen. Don't argue. Don't justify. Just wait. Eventually he will say yes.
Why does that work? Why the grumbling?
The idea is the grumbling isn't necessarily about not wanting to help. It might just be his way of processing the request, shifting gears from whatever he was focused on. Remember that need for acceptance. A request can sometimes feel like criticism, like he's not doing enough already. The pause lets him process without feeling attacked.
It's about respecting his process, even if it looks like resistance initially. Men are not lazy, but they have so much need to feel accepted.
Precisely. Any request might inadvertently send the message, you're not accepted as you are. The pause avoids that.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all up, the big message seems to be that understanding, truly understanding these deep-seated differences is the foundation for better connection.
It really is. It's not about fundamentally changing who you are or who your partner is, but changing how you interact based on that understanding.
And the source really hammers home that communication isn't just, innate. It's a skill.
A learnable skill. Absolutely. And maybe even more important than just feeling love sometimes, knowing how to express it and receive it effectively.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, love isn't about finding a perfect person or having a perfect relationship.
No, it's about learning, adapting, navigating those seasons together. Ideally, the man grows to understand his own cycles and reassures her when he pulls away that he will be back.
And she learns to trust that.
She trusts that he will gradually open up more as he feels accepted. She does not punish him or chase after him when he needs space. It's at mutual understanding and adjustment.
So a final thought then for you listening. Take a moment this week. Think about one specific pattern in your own communication, maybe one interaction you often have.
Yeah, and consider how just remembering these potential differences, his need for approval, her need for validation, the cave, the wave, the scorekeeping, remembering that in a small way.
How might it change that interaction? Could it turn a point of friction into maybe, just maybe, an opportunity for a bit more understanding, a bit more intimacy? Something to think about.